this live, we're going to be talking about Esther. Yesterday live, we spoke about what happened with President Biden. And I told you there are five ladies that I was in Jeff's movement with. I told you what happened between President Biden. But where are the five ladies? There are five ladies I was in the message of the hour with. And yesterday I spoke about my thoughts on that if the five ladies had pulled through um, over the separation between Jeff's movement and the woke movement, they would have gone to July 18th. And if they had passed and pulled through over July 18th, they would have gone probably there. And if they had their own messages, they would have probably entered into the entered into Shushan, which is the story of the Middle East. So currently now they don't enter into the story of the Middle East. They are currently on the line of um, America, and whatever America decides is going, that's what goes with the ladies, because they're not with River Jordan, as I have the River Jordan messages and I have the Islam messages, and I'm with the Middle East. So when I share my messages, it is for Ahasuerus to know. Currently now, I'm of the opinion that America and I are separated, as Christians and I are separated, and if parts of America is with me, then it's on the thoughts that those parts is Ahasuerus. So this is me and Ahasuerus, and this is a conversation of everyone else who is here, because Ahasuerus allows that. So um, I think it is very clear my intentions in 2021 to 2024. President Biden talked about wooing, and I think to woo was on the point that he understood they said they're the people, and it was the hello everyone who's just come in. So President Biden spoke about wooing. Um, thank you for the compliment. And the when he spoke about wooing, it was on the point that he understood that there was a captivity, and this is in 2023. He started talking about wooing, and I think it is also on the point that he saw that I might not be interested in whatever he was doing, because he had already chosen the doctor, and this is the doctor from Adventism. There are four of us, and there's a lady I don't oftentimes mention. And so he had chosen the doctor, but the doctor soon left and continued with her way in Adventism. So then he started talking about wooing, and at the point where he's speaking about wooing, 2023. And so I can see already that America was starting to come this side and turn around from what they were doing from 2021. My lips are very dry when I just put phase line on them. I read Esther chapter 1, and I have a lot of things that I started to realize from reading Esther chapter 1. And these things I'm going to share with you guys. So exciting. Um, I think just to set out just a little bit of clarity on what is happening. Um, I read from the Spirit of Prophecy that there comes a time when the world needs to know what has been happening in the Church of God. And this time comes in when the destruction of Jerusalem is going to take place and everything else is going to happen. And so before everything happens, and before the the Church of God goes through anything, or Adventism goes through anything, the world needs to be aware of what is going on. So yeah, that is why I think God would allow that um, I have the messages that share with the world what's going on. As I started out with the messages of Islam, and Islam put me straight in Shushan with Ahasuerus. So in Shushan, Ahasuerus is a he is a Mede and a Persian, and he is a man in the world. So for God to then allow me to be joined with Ahasuerus through my messages, I had my messages on the 1st of August in 2020, and on the 4th of August, um, the the terrorists were already in Beirut in Lebanon, and there was a Beirut blast. So let me just increase the mic. The mic is okay on my side. It works. And I just increased the volume. The volume is actually at the top, my phone's volume. So, but anyway, so it's very important that I do what God has called me to do. Even in Shushan, I need to go over whatever has happened in the history of when I was in the movement, when there were falls, when there were separations, and everything that has happened, so that the world is aware of what has been going on in God's church. So, um, the first thing that I wanted to talk about, because I am an Esther, um, I understand myself to be an Esther with my messages of the Taliban insurgency, and everything else that came with that. And so I'm starting there, and I want to talk a little bit more on where are the sisters. This is not gonna come out very nicely because um, really the movement had its ups and downs, but to come now to the end and find I'm alone is not really a lovely experience. And I know that the sisters looking at me, they had a lot of she's faking, or that's exactly what she wanted. They had a lot of misjudgments, a lot of preconceived ideas about me to judge me and already place me in, oh, that's what she wants. She wanted to be alone. Uh, that's what she wanted. She wanted to everyone else to. She always thinks she's better. She always thinks she's the one. She's the one we're not. We shouldn't be. So let us not be. And I think God now has come to investigate. And in his investigation, I should state my case. And when I state my case, God will be clear on the understanding of whether or not what I'm saying is truth, it is not truth, or whether or not the ladies themselves had other motives behind whatever it is that they were doing in the movement for that matter. So in 2014, um, I wasn't at Walter Sisulu, and I think another thing I need to talk about and say is that people's names are mentioned. I'm going to mention people's names, institutions' names, because um, the people themselves have been mentioning me in public and private spaces. So I'm going to mention them. Um, I was at Walter Sisulu University in 2014. I was visiting with my father, and it was at a stasa because I was Adventist. Growing up Adventist, there are events, stasa events, that oftentimes happen, I don't know after how many years, but these stasa events happen and everyone becomes so excited because they're going to meet people after so long in faraway places. So stasa usually is in Cape Town, sometimes it was in KZN, um, but now it is at Walter Sisulu University in 2014, and I go there with my father. And I don't know I was going to be going to Walter Sisulu University the following year because I never applied. And then I find out that my mother actually applied for me to go to Walter Sisulu University in 2014 for medicine, but I actually didn't go in. I didn't have biology, and I also didn't pass with degree pass. I had a diploma pass in my matric. So I'm upgrading 2014. I'm upgrading my subjects, maths, physics, accounting. I want to have bachelor pass. Um, and I'm working now in my father's business as like an accountant assistant. Um, and I'm helping him with the receipts. I keep the receipts and I document them in the books. And so I write my exams at the end of the year and I pass. And I get like 50 something for maths and accounting and physics. And I'm so excited because the previous year I didn't get 50 something. So now I can enter into school. Um, and I wanted to go and study chemical engineering diploma at CPUT. So CPUT previously took me for accountancy, but I didn't want accountancy. Even though I really liked accounting at high school, I didn't see accounting to be something that I could enter into as a career. I don't think I was passionate about accounting as a career. So, finding myself and wanting to enter into science, um, we went to Cape Town to CPUT. We got there and um, we went to the admissions office and then they didn't take me. I applied um, for this this course in 2013. They didn't take me, and I thought it's because um, I got a diploma pass and I got 40s. And then I applied for the course again in 2014. They didn't take me, and I passed with 50s, and I have now a degree pass. And they still didn't take me. They said, no, well, the pool is very competitive. You can find people in their 60s here, and they're here doing a diploma. And I couldn't understand. But I am within the minimum requirements to enter into the course. But then no, they didn't want to take me. They said, no, we're not going to take you. There is accountancy. And since you've passed with degree pass now, maybe we can move you from higher certificate to diploma in accounting. They really wanted me to do accounting, and I didn't want to do accounting. So on the road back from Cape Town, as my mother drove me there, and my father was accompanying me on the way, comfort me. Um, we came back to Umtata, and we were passing Walter Sisulu University. My father went to Wisu, my mother went to Wisu, and back then it was Unitra. So they were like, we went to Unitra, we went to Unitra. Why don't you go to Unitra? You know, Unitra is a very good school. We went to Unitra, go to Unitra. And I was like, Unitra? And they're like, yeah, like Wusu. And I was like, oh, Wusu. I don't know. Are they gonna take me? And they're like, they have everything. Everything's here. I mean, people come and graduate here. They come out as doctors. They come out. They are scientists. They are engineers. They come out. It doesn't matter what you got as a pass. They come out and they are professionals in their fields. And I was like, oh. And so we entered into Wusu. And I really didn't know at this point. I was like, oh, well, I'm interested in going back to school. I'm not interested in staying at home. And so I'm interested to explore. Let me explore academia. And so we entered into Wusu, and there is like a place called the AC Jordan there, and the AC Jordan is a really full, you know, so full. People are walk-ins. They applied, and some people didn't apply because they didn't know if they were gonna get good grades or get grades and now go to university. Um, and so people are there, and it was so full. Um, and so I see a poster on one of the windows. It's written, um, spaces are all courses are full, and spaces um, are open for BSc chemistry. They said BSc chemistry, and there was another course also, and I was like, oh, BSc chemistry. Yeah, that's like do BSc chemistry and then do engineering, and then and I went crazy. I was so excited, and then I just it's a great deal. Let's do it. And they were like, oh, and it's level 4, so it's our 50s in maths and physics. And I was like, really? So 50s? And oh, let me go in. I was very excited because I wanted to enter into science. I wanted to study science. So I went in. And the previous year, I learned something about village schools, you know. It's a little secret, but I don't know what it is. The focus in academics, and I think I started to question my education. I was like, guys, I started to question my education. I was like, all those years and I'm busy sweating. I'm running up and down in soccer. My goodness, I was sweating in choir. And then like all of these things that I've done, they don't matter. I come to Wusu and it really doesn't matter now. Yo, like guys, I don't know how to explain it. Really, I felt cheated. I was like, I feel so cheated now. And right when I entered into the course, um, I just felt like, why is everything coming back? It's like, and I don't remember. I don't remember this. I didn't remember this in that exam paper in matric. But it's coming back. I remember now. I remember now. My teacher taught me this, and Wusu was like bringing back stuff I remember I was taught at airports, guys. How weird is that? And now I'm like appreciating my previous. Hello, everyone is just coming. Now I'm appreciating now I'm appreciating my previous education with the education I'm getting at Wusu. And I didn't even plan to go to Wusu. It didn't come into my head that Wusu is an Umtata and I'm an Umtata. And it's like my father says, let's go to Wusu. And I'm not thinking, where is Wusu? It's almost like I start to see how close Wusu is to my home right when I'm at Wusu. So that was another weird thing. And at Wusu, in my first Sabbath, oh, it's like Sabbath worship day, I was wearing heels. I remember very well. I was wearing heels. And this is like school, um, almost like school worship. As I was so high on it. I really was. I didn't even have like flats, guys. That's how excited I was. Yeah. And my heels with this high, guys. They were so high. Yeah, guys. I don't know why I just like started laughing, but yeah, guys. I mean, that was my beginning. I was so at church and everything. I get to class and I'm so hyped, guys. Yeah, BSc chemistry. Are you kidding me? Like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I'm in BSc chemistry. Like, what are you kidding me? I worked so hard, guys. Um, sure, guys, so this was 2015, and in 2014, I realized I'm late in my learners. I did my learners in 2014, and my friends and people that I know from church and school, they'd already done their learners. So 2014 comes, and I do my learners, and I was just happy to get it. But I was late. I was 19. I felt I was late to people I know, but it turns out it's actually early to people who know me, like my family and so on. Um, and I did my driver's license in 2015, right when I was at school at WUSU. So I find I'm doing this thing that not many people were doing at WUSU. WUSU is a school for children or and people coming from disadvantaged backgrounds and villages and so on. The priority at WUSU is people who are studying with NASFAS and people who are studying with bursaries, and then people who are self-paid are less priority because the institution itself is um, it is based off of people coming from disadvantaged backgrounds. Guys, it's always so, and nothing makes sense. Nothing. Studying at Ipworth and living in Maritzburg, and it's just nothing made sense. I think entering there, I was just like, WUSI is gonna be like any other institution. I'm gonna treat WUSI like how I would be at Cape Town or Joburg or any other institution. And guys, it worked for me. But I think the freedom really got to me as a first year student, and maybe the freedom itself, um, and the things that came with it. I could have done things a little bit better. And this is from my perspective. Now I'm not talking on my behalf. Guys, we're going to go to Esther's. Now it seems like I'm speaking on my behalf. We're talking about Esther's. Yeah, we're talking about Esther's. I hear my mother sometimes, she says I make a noise. Guys, we're speaking about Esther here. Where are the other ladies? Guys, so now we see started out and it was lovely. Still is lovely. And then kind of went to church and I had friends. I was called to be a deaconess. I became a deaconess and took care of the flowers and the cloths. And right in the middle of the year, I failed physics and passed. I failed physics and passed all the other modules. So that's 4 modules passed and 1 failed. And then I still continued with my studies. I was already doing studies in prophecy as I entered into this movement. And it turns out this movement um, is a prophetic movement. It's Jeff's movement, and Jeff's movement is having wars at that time with Adventism. And so I'm an Adventist and I'm in a movement that is in a conflict with what I believe. I was sitting right next to my bed, um, and I was sitting on top of the bed at first. And I don't know what was going on with me. I was supposed to go to class in second semester for everything, maths, physics, everything, computer literacy. And I was sitting there on my bed. I was like, oh my goodness, my head, my head. What's going on with my head? I can't think. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do in my head? And and I was like thinking, let me go to class, let me go to class, let me go to class. What am I gonna do? Let me go to class. Oh no, but I can't think what is going on, what's going on? And um I remember very well, um I then sat there and my head was hurting so much, so it was pounding, and all of these thoughts are just they're conflicting each other in my head, and it's like, what am I gonna do? I'm going to class, then I'm gonna not go to class. What am I gonna do? And I then just would just sit in my room for some time, and I study sometimes in my room, but I wasn't so regular in studying in my room. I would go to class sometimes, and um, then I started focusing a lot more on the prophetic message. And then I remember I drew up a plan for me wanting to work in the messages full time as a missionary worker. And then I told my dad, and my dad looked at it and was like, so yeah, he's like, no, stay in school. And I was like, really? So my parents are very flexible. They don't necessarily tell me what to do. But I think my dad is not really a person who's been in a reformatory movement. And to be in a movement, you you are hello, runners just come in. You have a business, you are independent. So my plan didn't have a plan on the independence. So it almost just felt like I was a person just having these dreams of wanting to go and be a missionary worker. But what was I gonna do um, in my life? And so I didn't have skills um, that I knew I could use or that I desired to use as I knew. Um, and I think about skills, coming from metric, there are certain things that I could do maybe. And there are skills that I could have said, um, I want to come out of school and take up this skill and have this business and then work in as a missionary worker. And so work as a missionary worker, have this business, and then yeah, that's what I want to do. So my parents, they didn't approve. I sat in school and I was like, I really didn't mind their disapproval of that plan because I didn't have a plan to sustain myself. And they were worried and concerned that they are the ones who are still going to take care of me. So I sat in school and I studied. At the end of the year, I passed 3 modules in this semester and failed 2. So now it's 3 modules that I've failed that year, and I was doing 9 modules. So it's about 6 modules I've passed without any agro-taught or supplementary, So I got an agro-taught in the first semester, so it's like 7 modules passed, but I have an agro-taught. I got an agro-taught, so 6 modules that are just, they don't have agri-taught, any sub, clean. Okay. Um, what is happening with the movement? Because now I'm Queen of Alma for Americans because of my messages that I started studying in the prophetic movement. It is not at studying as a student at WUSU in the institution. It is studying with someone who I met at WUSU and studying these prophetic messages that actually are at the School of the Prophets. And that School of the Prophets is led by an American man who is living in America. So guys, I enter into the prophetic movement in 2015 as a first year, and when I enter, there's a guy who's already walking with that guy, the guy who was our teacher. So the guy's our teacher is brother Mkolisi, and the brother who's walking with him is brother Spiwo. So they're walking together because brother Mkolisi studied the messages in 2014 and felt it was important he should teach other people. And so he started teaching. And when he taught, it seems no one understood him as the brethren come in and they see me now in the movement. And when they talk, the time that we have talks on what happened in 2014, they tell me, oh no, Brother Mkolisi taught in 2014, but Brother Mkolisi um, didn't have any brethren walking with him in 2014. So in 2015, Brother Spiwo enters, and the Brother Spiwo is listening to the brother. The brother is currently a deputy chairperson in the STASA, and this is in 2015. He's a deputy chairperson in Starzim. And as his deputy chairperson at Starzim, Brother Spiwo, being an Adventist, meets him at school in classes in their medical course as Brother Mxolisi came in 2014, but he was not studying. He was just a visitor. And then in 2015, he decided he was going to study as a medical student. And so he entered as a medical student, started studying as a medical student. First year student um, with Brother Spiwo, and that's where they met. So now I come in, um, as I was also in the Adventist church in Starzim. I come in and Brother Spiwo was already walking with Brother Mxolisi. So I come in and Brother Mxolisi asked me to teach the teacher a lesson in an upcoming camp meeting, and that was going to be my first camp meeting. So I happened to be in a friendship relationship with Brother Mxolisi by the time that the camp meeting comes along, but it was really, really limited because of his beliefs. And I say his beliefs at that time because I didn't fully understand what was going on. I'm talking about I'm talking about the prophetic movement I was in. I'm talking about it, and I'm talking about what happened with everyone else I was walking with. So we go to this first camp meeting, and I'm teaching Ezra 7:9. Um, I taught the brethren Ezra 7:9, and um, after that, I think before the camp meeting, many brethren started coming in, and they were coming from Adventism, from Starzim also. They come in, and there are many of them, sisters and brothers, and all of them were there in 2014, and other brethren have been there in Starzim even way before 2014. So they know Brother Mxolisi before I met him. They know him before, and they saw him before. So they have a lot to say about Brother Mxolisi, and who he was in 2014 and who he is now, and what was going on 2014 and what's going on now. Um, Things that I didn't know, so there are stories to tell. I now say they could have used those opportunities to be teachers in the movement, to enter into the movement before me because they had that opportunity. And do you remember? I told you the other day, we are accountable for what we know and don't do anything about it. And we're accountable for what we don't know. So when they were walking with Brother Mxolisi in 2014, there was a high opportunity for Brother Mxolisi's move, his messages, but they didn't. So when I enter into 2015, I don't have to feel guilty that I enter into 2015 and now I am the person who is teaching the messages. They should have been teaching by the time I entered. They should have been teaching from 2014. So 2015 I enter, and in June, the brethren seemed to be really happy with me. Before the camp meeting, the sisters, there were four other sisters that I started to have from the movement um, before the first camp meeting, before I taught Ezra 7 9. And these sisters came from Adventism. And these sisters were sisters who were there in 2014 and never entered. So now they're here, and two of these sisters um, were sisters that I thought were very close to me. And it seems they were close to me. They were nice to me. Everything that was so hyped up, it was hyped up, and everything was really lovely. I thought they appreciated me. And the two other sisters were um, very calm people, very reserved, and taking the back seat. And the reason for that is because they're coming from a disadvantaged background. And I thought these two other sisters are not coming from such a disadvantaged background, because it seems these two other sisters grew up in towns, and these two other sisters, grew up in the village. So now these four sisters come in, and I'm sitting with these two sisters, and I go for a sleepover with them, and they ask me, "Oh my goodness, they are sure I can cook spinach. Maybe I can cook spinach for the road, since we are on this diet to become vegetarians." I was already a vegetarian, and they thought, "Oh, I look like I can cook spinach. Then I should cook spinach." And I cooked spinach. They slept the time that I was cooking, and I sat up all night cooking spinach. I didn't mind sitting up all night. They didn't even speak to me, have conversation with me. They literally just slept, and they left me there. And I sat alone and cooked my spinach. And when I woke up the following day, they accused me and said, "Am I not the one who went to the door, who sleepwalks?" I went to the door and came back, and I said, "No, I'm probably not. I've never heard anything like that. I don't sleepwalk." I wonder why I would start now, because I don't know myself to be a sleepwalker. But they were saying, "No, we know, we think it is you. We think it is you. You literally woke up. Didn't you hear? Didn't you hear?" And the first sister, the sister who's doing this, is now tapping the other sister. "Didn't you feel her? Didn't you hear her? She literally stood up and she went to the door, and we woke up and we asked her, what's wrong? Is everything okay?" And she said, "No," and she didn't answer. She just went back to sleep, something like that. But they said I sleepwalk, and I don't believe that. I actually don't believe it. But I looked at them and I was like, "Really?" It's like, "No, I don't think so." But then, and they were like, "Yeah, well, you were sleeping. You probably were sleeping. That's why you can't remember, and that's why you don't know that it happened." And I was like, "What?" I didn't get it. So that was the first time I ever slept with the sisters, and after that, the sisters were running away from me sleeping with them. I don't know if it's running away or what it was. Um, and then a lot of stuff started to become issues. I had issues with the sisters because they never came to my room. And I'd say, "Guys, why don't you come to my room? I mean, my room's clean. I clean my room and I cook a really yummy food, like mushrooms and everything. And I just felt the sisters like needed to be really inclusive of me, but they weren't. I felt that's what I felt back then. Um, and and the sisters now started to um do the whole thing of in 2014, you remember in 2014 what was going on 2014, and the other sister will say, yeah, I remember what was going on 2014, and I'm sitting there and I'm quiet. And this is in still in 2015 this is happening. Yeah, yeah, you remember when Brother Mxolisi would say something like this in Adventism, and we wouldn't know anything. You remember? And they tap each other, and it's like, yeah, and they're laughing alone, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, quiet. I don't know what they're talking about. I wasn't there in 2014. Yeah, yeah. And do you remember? Do you remember in Starzim we had that and they start talking about all these things they had. And we did this and we did that. But why didn't we understand these things in 2014? And they look at each other and they're like, yeah, no, we didn't understand it. And I'm standing there, I'm like, I don't know why. And so I'm going, what do you mean? What do you mean? I'm so ongoing. I'm telling a story here of my experience. I was like, I don't know why. I don't know why in 2014 that happened. And I didn't see it as something that. No, I have data bundles I bought. I bought data bundles specifically to do my lives and talk about my work and my experience. So no, 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 not crazy airtime to just do stuff for no reason. This is actually what I plan to do with, and I actually budgeted for it. So yeah. And the sisters, they started there, and now I'm thinking about it. Back then I would just keep quiet, but I wouldn't think, oh my goodness, this is going somewhere. You're going somewhere with this. It's definitely not with me. You came as a group. But now look at what's going on. 2014 the whole time. And now I'm not a part of that story. And it goes on and on. And now 2015 ends. 2015 ends. I go now do my driver's license at the end of 2015, which is our September, October there. And I write my exams. And at the end of the year, now at home, we usually have family meetings. So it's almost like it is just in me to have that end of the year. Let me talk about what happened during this year. So, end of the year, I'm thinking about it in 2050. I'm like, oh my goodness, what have I done this year? Oh, I got a driver's license. Oh, great achievement. And then I went and I proposed to my dad my plan for my life, and he disapproved, didn't approve. And then I entered into the movement, and clearly I am one of the people that has their own messages. So clearly, with my messages, I'm very independent now. And I have passed 7 of my modules. One of them is already an agri-taught. And so when it comes to my education, I'm really skating on thin ice. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, what am I gonna do now? 2015. And I think, no, let me continue to go to school. Let me continue to go to school because I have the brethren there with the movement, and that motivates me. That was the only thing. I was like, I go to school, the brethren there, and that motivates me. So I get back to Wusu. When I'm at Wusu, now I have these 2 modules I'm gonna be registering, and my HOD for the chemistry department, he looked at my grades and he said, "Oh, 69% for general chemistry. Okay. You got a couple of distinctions for computer literacy. Um, yeah, it's okay. It's an okay. Um, you did okay for first year." And then he said, he advised that maybe I might be interested in statistics. Usually, if I'm overthrown by maths in BSc, um, statistics might open up something in me that might bring me back to a love or an understanding of maths. Excuse me. So I went, also motivated by him sharing that when he went to study statistics in his years, he really loved it. And so that's one of the things that motivated him to complete his BSc degree. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. So I'll go and I register statistics. There's already that in 2014. And now I meet with the brethren in 2016, and the brethren have gone to the last camp meeting in December, and they were the ones, everyone, all of the brethren went except me. So now it's like, oh, in 2014, and then they come back and they're like, oh, the camp meeting, yeah, and I had a dream when I was at home in 2015. So I kind of fainted, and my mom comes and she puts something inside eucalyptus. I don't know what it is, but and she doesn't want to breathe it. She doesn't want to breathe it. She doesn't want to breathe it. And I was getting weak and weak and weak, and I was going to a very long sleep. I felt like I was fainting, but I think it was a very long sleep. She's like, breathe, breathe it, breathe it. And I was like, no, I don't know. I really don't like it. I really don't like the smell of, I don't know what it was. I don't like it. And it just took me straight into a deep sleep that I was already going into. And in that deep sleep is like a long sleep, I want to call it, because I don't know what a deep sleep actually is. That long sleep, it took me from that time I started sleeping, and I woke up very late the following day. And I was in a very, very lovely, lovely dream, dreaming about the camp meeting. Now, seeing the ladies who are the two sisters that I usually spend a lot of time with in the movement, um, who are the sisters from towns, and they were under a tree with the children and the movement, as we had other brethren that were living in KZN, and those brethren were the brethren we usually went and visited. Those brethren were brethren who were not scholars as such. Not many of them were students at school. They were parents with children. So it's families after families. And so in this camp meeting that they went to, they met up with the brethren, and they were under a tree teaching the children a new song for children. And 2016, they come back and they are telling me, oh, we went to the camp meeting. I was like, how was that camp meeting? I wanted to come. I really wanted to. And I told them I want to come, but my parents do not approve of my this movement and my beliefs in these prophetic messages. And they also are motivated by them seeing that I don't really have a plan on how am I gonna sustain myself, how am I gonna have a living. So The sisters say, and then we went to camp, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, quiet. I'm like, quiet. Like, wow, guys, that's amazing. And then we made a song for the children. And I told them the dream, and I don't know if they were listening to my dream. And then, and then, and then, and then, that same year, the brethren all together go to Zimbabwe. And this is our first Zimbabwe camp meeting in our movement as brethren. But the people who are used to the messages already knew and were already having camp meetings in Zimbabwe already. So the sisters now are getting passports first. They're going to Zimbabwe first. They're doing everything first, leaving me behind South Africa. And that is the third thing that they're doing together. I'm not there. I'm not there. The movement is about prophecy. We were studying prophecy together in the Bible, from the Bible. It's almost 1 hour gone, guys, and my series hasn't ended. So now you can see, guys, that it was already a us and a her. You know, we are here. She is there. We were there in 2014. You were not there. She was not there with us. We went to camp meeting together, and you didn't come with us. And then in 2016, we went to Zimbabwe, and oh my goodness, when you get the passport, when you do this, and they're telling me everything that has happened, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, guys, wow. They're showing me pictures, and this is the third thing now that they are doing together, and I'm not there with them. They come back from Zimbabwe, and we have to study on Daniel 11 1 to 4, because now the elections in America are going to take place, and we want to be at the forefront of the prophetic understanding of who's going to be the next president of America. So we picked it up and ran with it. Jeff Pippinger was already on Daniel 11 1 to 4, and we were right behind him studying what he was studying. As the studies went, all of us were convinced, even in our group, that President Trump's going to be the next president. So there we were on Facebook. I was on Facebook a lot, saying President Trump's going to be the next president. As soon as I said that, a lot of influence from America came my way and said, no, he's not. No, he's not. Oh, yeah, he probably is. Another person's like, no, he's not. What about the Clintons? What about Hillary Clinton? Oh, but and now we're talking about American politics. So organization was in the air now. We are a movement, and as we are a movement, we need to organize. And right when we think about organization, we get called to go to Adventism. We go to Adventism, that's Starsm. And in 2016, I was no longer a deaconess at Starsm. So you serve for a year and then you get elected again for the following year. And I served in 2015, and I went to camp meetings, and I don't think I completed my term as a deaconess the previous year. I'm not sure what happened, but I think I went to camp meetings, and my place it just went to someone else. I don't know who, but it went to someone else. So 2016, we're called in, and a woman pastor is comes in, and she states her case. She's very simple, very quick what she's here to do. It seems everyone's aware that there is problem in Starzim as a group. Someone tipped off um, East London, which is a headquarters, that there's a problem in Starzim, Wisu in Umtata, and this problem is on brethren who are not abiding by their their um, their 28 fundamental beliefs and are causing disorder in the church. So we're sitting there, we have our dukes on, we are wearing our long skirts, and we are waiting to hear what is going to take place. One brother from our movement picks up his hand and he says, "How? How can they disgrace us like this?" And in the movement, we believe, a man and a woman have their own place in the household, and that's how things go, even in our movement, our church. And knowing Adventism has had men roles and women roles for some time, we understand that women are not ordained to do, and they don't do specific work in Adventism because they're not ordained. Men are ordained as pastors. Women, if they choose to be prophets or prophetesses, if they choose to be prophetesses, and they choose to be priests as a pastors, they're not ordained, and so they don't do specific work like cutting people out of the church. But here is a woman standing in front of us. She's here to cut us out. The brother says, How? How can they disrespect us like this? I'm a man and I'm looking at a woman. Tell me, she's a pastor. Since when? You're a pastor? And now you're here to cut me out of a church. You are a woman. You are a woman, and a woman has her place in a household. I'm not going to be told by a woman what to do. And the lady pastor, she was wearing high heels. She was well dressed, very decent, very calm lady. And she looks at our brother and she says, "Well, that's going to be your problem because I'm just doing my job." And everyone's like, from the people who tipped us off with East London, they were like, "Oh goodness, it's a funny joke." The issues, they have issues. We're getting kicked out of Adventism. The issues of head covering, the issues of long skirts, the issues of doctrinal issues now. The 2520, Islam is an issue. Islam is not in the Bible. 2520 is not in the Bible. You shouldn't be kneeling with alone all the time. You kneel when people tell you to kneel. That's what they were saying. So it's not, I don't think it was a mistake because we each stood up as people in this our movement, Stars and Stress movement, and we stated our side of the story, or what do we believe, our beliefs, and whether they were cutting us out, they cut us out with us having stated our beliefs. So one sister stood up and she spoke about head covering. The other sister stood up, spoke about the 25-20. The brother stood up and spoke about the roles of a man and a woman in a household, and the roles of a man and a woman in Adventism. I stood up and spoke about Islam in the Bible. The other brother stood up and spoke about kneeling in the church. We spoke about everything we believed, and then the woman pastor said, "Well, thank you for your contributions to sharing with us what you believe. I think I am running out of time, and so I'm gonna quickly do what I was told is what's going on here, and I can see already that it's not a lie. Firstly, as she talks about the doctrines of the church, um, the first and most important thing is the 28 fundamental beliefs in Adventism, and all of these doctrines that we are talking about are not a part of doctrines that are in the Bible that the Adventist church believes in. And she says the 25-20 is not in Adventism. Islam is not in Adventism. And we kneel to be in the order of the service of the church. We don't, we're not, we don't put head coverings on. And one lady just said, well, and she's chairperson, she says, well, the whole reason why I stated that head coverings is causing a is causing a disruption is because we as Adventism don't necessarily, and she says she puts a head covering because she's cold. And I think she was guilty because she had a headband, she had a toque on, and she was one of the people who tipped the pastors come and cut us off. And right this day that the pastor comes in right when she has a toque on too, and she says, "Oh, no, well, I'm just wearing a toque on because it's cold. I'm wearing a toque on today because it's cold." Um, Otherwise, I don't believe that toques should be and head coverings is something that is doctrinal in Adventism. And so the woman pastor says, "Okay, well, it is clear what we are doing here. Um, the judgment is that as Adventist church, we don't believe in what you believe. So it is clear that um, we would like you to we on our side are not going to be collaborating with you." They shouldn't say collaborate, but she said we are losing our titles and we are not going to be working in Starzim and Adventism as a whole. And on top of that, um, if we want to worship with our doctrines, we can go and worship elsewhere. We cannot teach these doctrines Adventism. We cannot do these things that we believe in Adventism, like kneel and put on a toque, because we believe that head people should cover their heads as a doctrinal understanding. and we cannot teach Islam and the 2520 Adventism. Adventism doesn't believe that. So we're kicked out Adventism that way. Then we organized, and it was now very, very important that we organize. We organized, and this is 2016. In our organization, the sisters were now pushing that I be chairperson. And I said, no, I'm not going to be chairperson. Chairperson is a role for a man. I'm a woman. I'm not going to be chairperson. And so the chairperson ended up becoming Anele, one of the brothers who was a medical student within the same year of Brothers Piwo. Brothers Piwo at this point has left the movement. He has left our movement. He left at the point where people were starting to move out of school, and he wanted to stay in school and be a medical doctor. So in the decision for him to stay at school as a medical doctor or to stay at school as a medical doctor or be in the prophetic message, he decided he was going to stay at school and be a full-time medical student and end up becoming a medical doctor and not participate in anything that has to do with the movement. And so I think there was a time that he was going through trouble, and then he went back to Adventism right around that time. So Anele is the brother now. He's chairperson, and I was deputy chairperson, and other roles were given to other people. Sister Nombo was our treasurer. Sister Nomze, I don't know what she was, but there were roles given to each of us. And these are the sisters. The other four sisters. So 2017, in 2016, it wasn't in 2016, it was in 2015 this happened. I didn't talk about this event. One of the sisters, they kept saying 2014, 2014, 2014. And this sister is coming from the sisters who were sleeping when I was cooking the spinach. One of the sisters shares the name of my surname. My surname is Zamasa, and that sister's name is Zimasa. So Zimasa and Cindy were the two sisters that slept, and Zimasa, she was the one who says, can you cook for us spinach? It looks like you can cook spinach. You look like a great cook. And I was like, really? And I know I love cooking, but I didn't think someone would recognize that. And so I really made the spinach. I cooked the spinach while they were sleeping, Zamasa and Cindy, and we were in Zamasa's room at school. So Zamasa calls Radham Klolisa and Pradham Klolisa are in a friendship relationship. And the sister who at Starzim was saying, oh, well, I know where I took in 2016 is a sister who in 2014 was interested in Pradham Kolisi. She's married now, but she was interested in Pradham Kolisi. So this is very important. It's very important. Sister Zingisa. That sister had a degree already, and she was studying medicine. This is her third year in 2015. when Brother Mxolisi was studying first year in medicine. So Sister Zingisa, she is flirting with Brother Mxolisi and she doesn't know that I am in a relationship with him. So she'll be coming to the brother and she is wearing um, clothes that are, they are good. I say good, like covered up and they are modest. But she'll be coming to Brother Mxolisi and she'll be sitting like this on the desk. And Brother Mxolisi are gonna go out at this day to dinner and speak about like our life problems, literally. I'm not saying anything bad, at this point. I'm just sharing experience. So this sister Zingisa would go and like sit like this on the desk, and the tables at Wusu were almost like, so it's a table and then the table under, and it's like an auditorium. So she's going to the table, she's under, she's at the bottom of the table, and she is looking at him in the eyes. She's flirting, and I'm looking at her, and I'm wondering what's going on here. What's going on here? What's happening here? So now the sister is very much older than me. She is the same age as Brother Mxolisi. And I'm a first year student, um, younger than them. So now the sister in her sermons, she starts having sermons that are fighting. And then you see this little thing and you see yourself as this big thing. And then you wonder, what's this little thing? This is in her sermons. She's like hitting me with the Bible. I don't know the Bible very well at that point. I know the Bible very well at that point. I should be like, and you wondering, hello, can't you see? Hello, can't you see me? Can't you see me? And my goodness, I stripped with the Bible. You are what you think in your mind. I didn't even know that verse is in the Bible. I'm stripped, and everyone's like, "Yeah, sister, preach, yeah, sister," and not the yeah, sister started to grow, and it's almost like we are in a like this I don't know, this ring, it's just blowing at me, hitting me, This is the sister in 2016 that says, "Oh, I'm just wearing a head covering because it's cold. Otherwise, um, I don't think head covering is something that is doctrinal in Adventism." So it starts growing. Yeah, preach, sister, preach. And then Sister Zamasa, she starts talking to me about Sister Zingisa. And Sister Cindy starts sharing to me about the relationship between Sister Zingisa and Brother Mxolisi. Oh, they're always together. They were always together in 2014. Now it's going back 2014, and you don't know about 2014. You don't know anything. I'm telling you about the four sisters that we don't see now in the prophetic movement, and my experience with what has been going on in the prophetic movement. Before now, I have my messages, and now I am Queen of Aman for America. What has been going on? People out there and they're like, yeah, sister, yeah, amen, amen, amen. And yet, I don't know that I'm sitting there in the pews and that you are what you think in your head is directed at you don't know the Bible, my sister. So what are you doing now? You know what you're doing. And now the sister, I'm being told the sister is a baker. The sister is a seamstress. Wow, amazing. I can't sew. I can't sew myself a dress. I just can mend my garments. I can't sew myself a clothing item. And I can't bake. I still can't bake. I'm 31 now and I still can't bake. Can't bake. And I'm like, wow. And she bakes vegan. Not only can she bakes vegan cakes. Wow. I don't know why I'm laughing. I need to go to the toilet, guys. It's already over 21 minutes. Yeah, this is experience, guys. Experience. I can crochet now. My business, guys, my business, Hamona. And I crochet. I crocheted last year my first pineapple hat. I made a pineapple hat and I called it a pineapple hat. It's specifically with my unique stitch for my business. Hamona, you guys know about it. So yeah, the girl has come around. But back then, my goodness, you are what you think in your head. I don't know. I don't know. It's a verse in Jeremiah though. But yeah, I will learn it soon enough. I mean, it's coming around with my health campaigns. And that year, 2015, was so heated up. It was so heated up. At the end of the year, the sister passed all her modules, and everyone's telling me that. And I'm looking at myself like, oh my goodness. Yo, hi, she can study. Yo. The brother Mkolisi, has dropped out of medicine. He's left, and I don't know why he left. And he dropped out in June of the year. I went to the first camp meeting and he's already dropped out of medicine. He's dropping out of medicine right after that first camp meeting. The rest of the camp meetings in 2015, we went with him and brother Skululwe um, when he's already dropped out. I'm like, wow, guys. Wow. So hectic. And now 2015 has ended, and I think all these things, so many things have happened here. At the end of the year, I get this long dream, and I'm really hazy in my head. I'm having problems with thinking. Now, I'm not a regular, even in Adventism. Even the movement, I am not really so close. I'm having problems financially. And I'm not studying with NASFAS. I'm self-paid, and it seems this following year, I don't know how I'm gonna pay for my education. Um, but I go back to school in 2016, and let us continue with the story again tomorrow. Thank you guys for joining in. I hope to see you in the next live, and that is tomorrow. I will be sharing all of this because it comes and ties in with the doctor, the sister who is a doctor now. She was a medical student. Then she became the next chairperson of STARSIM. And so she was one of the people who was in the council of decisions on whether or not to include us in the worship of STARSIM. And so you'll see how things turned around on Facebook now. And it seems the sister herself is now my best friend, of which it has never happened. So we'll see about this story and how it's turned around tomorrow. Goodbye, guys.